Today, I broke a streak. For the last 4 trading days, I was red on my first trade of the day. Not today. Today, first trade of the day in the green. That felt good, and I never looked back. I never went into the red today, which was great. Now, unfortunately, I didn't make a lot of progress today, but it's a small green day, and these base hits add up. Now, of course, after a red day on Thursday and Friday last week, I dug myself a little bit of a hole, and I needed to kind of work hard to recoup those losses. And so I did a good job of that with gains on Monday, gains on Tuesday, which was a really nice day, $7,000, and now gains today, up a very modest $1,200 on SYTA. So here was the problem today. This morning, we are still in this cycle of low price stocks getting all the volume and all the attention. So if you look at the scan here, I have it sorted by volume. So each day when I sit down, I'm looking at this scan to see which stocks are moving. Now, I don't typically sort it by volume. I sort it by percentage gain. Usually the biggest percentage gainer is the one I'm going to focus on. Now, as it turns out today, our biggest percentage gainer is BNED, up 76%. It's 95 cents, and it's got already 150 million shares of volume, nearly 31 million share float. And if we click on this and we pull up the stock, what you'll see is that this is another one of these stocks that began the move yesterday down, what was it, like 25, 30 cents a share. So it's a sort of multi-day move. And the problem with this price range is that when they're really cheap in this area, you have a lot of people that will buy 50,000, 100,000 share blocks, which, you know, at this price, it is very thickly traded. But there's a lot of those people that'll just hold, and they're buying what, kind of like a lottery ticket. They're hoping to sell up $1 a share, which is not the way I trade, but, you know, it's how some people trade, and it certainly has worked in recent days. So anyways, they're still holding, and then, you know, dump. They sell shares. Maybe they have shares to sell right at the open. So the sell order goes through as soon as the opening bell rings. That's possible. Often we see a drop down. This gave us a red to green. We squeeze up, and then we see more selling and more selling. So the problem is you're seeing 50,000, 100,000 share sell orders going through, and they're enough in this case to flush it down and to give it even a haul down. That was the same thing that happened on MGOL. MGOL, a lot of traders bought into this one, you know, when it was down here, 20, 30 cents a share, whatever, hoping it would be the next one that goes to $1. And it did. It went to $1, sells off, goes back up, pre-market goes all the way up to nearly $3, and then just selling. The reason that I don't find interest in it in this area is because at this point, I know there are going to be people who are in down here with huge size, 50,000, 100,000 shares, and they're going to be on the offer, and that's going to create a lot of resistance. And if they market order, you're going to get this nasty flush. So unfortunately for me, you know, I really don't find a lot of interest in trading these, and it has never been my practice during the period where I've been consistently profitable to just buy and hold one of these and hope for that multi-day move. In all of my experience, anytime I try to do that, it doesn't end up working. So for each one that works, there's probably 20 others that fail. And, you know, BNED, this one has worked relatively well so far. And I'm sure there's people that are still holding and hoping it goes to $3 a share. But I just don't want to mess around with it. But the fact is, I can't ignore that this is where there's a lot of a volume and a lot of attention. So BNED, that's got the most volume. Next one down is BuzzFeed. Now, BuzzFeed, I haven't liked BuzzFeed since day one because their content on social media is clickbait, sensationalism. They put out whatever will get clicks. It's not interesting. You know, 7 reasons why BuzzFeed is a terrible stock. You know what I mean? Like, it's just dumb. And so this company IPO'd through a special acquisition company. So they merged with a SPAC. It shows 40, but that's because they've done a reverse split. They had to do a reverse split because the company kept going lower and lower and lower. They're so bad at what they do. So it ends up, you know, initially popping up, but then it just comes all the way down, goes lower and lower, pops up here, and then lower and lower and lower to the point where basically they were going to get delisted off the exchange if they didn't do a reverse split. So they did a reverse split. The float drops down by the ratio of the split, which I think was 4-1, right? And so now you've got a somewhat lower float. Now it's 15 million shares. It's still pretty low. Although it's not that low, but anyway, so this one today, I just knew from the beginning, as soon as I saw BuzzFeed, I was like, nope, I'm not going to trade this. I mean, I have similar feelings with Peloton or Fitbit or, GoPro, these types of stocks. I don't even know if GoPro's still around, but, these types of stocks, they anytime kind of a household name is a publicly traded company, you have a lot of people that will buy it and hold it and really believe in it. And you have institutional traders that are in it. And it feels like all of that creates a little bit more buying and selling resistance. So I just didn't expect to see clean moves on this. On the one hand, I was like, well, maybe I shouldn't be so biased on it. Trade the chart if the chart's moving up. But on the other hand, I thought, well, this intuition comes from a lot of experience and it's educated. And I think there's a reason that I'm feeling iffy about this. The pop up, the drop down, the pop up, the drop down, pop up, drop down, pop up, drop down, right? I mean, you got a couple nice candles there. So I'm sure some of you guys could have made some money on it. But anyways, not surprising to see it sell off. So wasn't interested in that one. Wasn't interested in BNED. Wasn't interested, well, SPWR, this one came out with news a little closer to the open. The news is something with adding Tesla Powerwall 3 to its portfolio. I don't know. It's not that interesting to me. So basically we had nothing. And if you recall yesterday, Silo was a stock that did end up having breaking news and I jumped on it, but it instantly rejected. So when SYTA first comes out with news, I'm like, yeah, I don't know. I feel like attention right now is fairly dispersed. People are focusing on other stocks. I don't think so. So it pops up here. I'm not biting. I'm not going for this. So it drops down, comes back up, pulls back, comes back up here, pulls back. And I took my first trade right in here for the break through that high. This actually I would classify as a cup and handle formation. So I'll help you visualize this a little bit better. All right. So this is the double top, and then this is the handle right here. So your entries, well, it's actually on the candle that kind of did this false breakout here. And on my first trade on it, I only made a couple $100. It's like $300, 400 maybe. It pops up here to 75. No, sorry, I didn't take that trade. I took this one right here because this was the double top at 75. So once we broke 75, I took that trade right there. And, that gave us a little move up to 410. And then it flushes down. There was a 30,000 share seller that pushed it all the way down. They were selling at 84. Flushes down. Comes back up, drops down. By the way, at 75 here, when we first came up, 15,000 share seller. And then it drops. As soon as it drops, that 15,000 share seller, no, now I'm trying to remember. I believe that some of those shares were filled. Someone bought a good chunk of those shares and then it still dropped. And then that seller came back. So right here, that seller was back, another 16,000 shares for sale. And then when we saw this 30,000 share flush here, I was thinking, wow, someone's selling at least 100,000 shares of the stock today. That's it's $300,000, $400,000, in profit. I mean, well, in stock that they're selling, depending on where they're in at. And it just made me a little skeptical about how high this was going to go. So I ended up trading it. As you could see, it squeezes up here to a high of 450. It pulls back. And I didn't even take this trade here at the open. It opened, technically right near support. I just didn't have the conviction in it. I just felt like I can't really tell what's obvious today. And when I feel like that, when I feel like I can't tell what's obvious, usually the right move is just to sit on the sidelines. So anyway, so that's what I did on this one. I sat on the sidelines at the open. So locked up $1,200, which was max position was 5,000 shares. So in total, I only pulled about 20 cents out of the market today. It's not a lot. I'll be the first to admit it's not a big green day, but it's a green day nonetheless. And as I said, these add up. So, I'm happy with that. I'm going to grab a screenshot of this little cup and handle pattern and I'll drop this into my slide deck for classes. So let's see. Yeah, I think, my thought this morning, I was sort of, I guess you could say, I was cautiously optimistic, but I really didn't think that we were going to see great follow through, just because it seems like right now penny stocks are the theme. And that's fine. I just have to be aware of that and recognize that and know that that's not usually what I'm going to trade really well. So let's see, cup and handle pattern. All right, so I'll save that screenshot there, and I'll maybe add that to the classes. I always like to just kind of grab these while I'm doing my recaps. That way I can use it, and it's just easier, and then I don't forget about it. So my hope going into the rest of the week is that penny stocks kind of fade a little bit and we switch back to the type of stocks that I usually make more money on, stocks between 5 and 20, 5 and 10. That may not happen. With BNED going strong today, I think penny stocks are still going to be in focus. So probably the best thing I can do is just manage my risk, keep it tight, continue to trade with small size until I'm up over 1,000. And then if I feel like I'm in the groove, I'll size up. I didn't feel like I got in the groove today, so I didn't size up. I think that was the right move. But that's kind of my game plan right now. So I want to thank you guys as always for tuning in. I hope you hit that thumbs up. I hope you're subscribed to the channel, and I'll be back at it first thing tomorrow morning. And I'll remind you, as always, that trading is risky. My results aren't typical, and there's no guarantee that you'll find success, whether you learn from me or you trade on your own. So manage your risk, take it slow, and I'll see you back here tomorrow.